Hello guys and ghouls, I'm ranking and reviewing all 15 of the Monster High movies from worst to best. If you want to dive right into the top 3 or hear a film student's take on your favorite film, check the description. There, you'll also find deleted scenes and extras from some films that may just change how you see them. Comment below which film is your favorite. In last place is Electrified. The first film that centered around Claudine's design was great, but in Electrified, Frankie literally steals her thunder with some unexplained new powers that make plain dresses neon instead of frying them, and produces these random creatures. I like Claudine's idea of monsters bridging the divide between themselves and normies by creating a salon where all are welcome, but the monsters versus normies storyline was already played out in Ghouls Rule, so it seems forced and redundant. That encapsulates my thoughts on the reboot in one sentence. Instead of being understandable or fun to hate like previous villains, Monica Decay isn't a captivating character, and it's unclear why the zombies follow her unless, of course, they're literally brainless. I love the idea of the Ghoul Squad helping monsters and hiding, but Sylvie Timberwolf contributes nothing to the film. She seems to exist solely to justify this doll's existence. The best part about this film was that Twyla was in it. She needs her own movie as soon as possible. 2 Skelettes out of 10. In 14th place is Welcome to Monster High. Like most fans, I prefer the pre-reboot animation style and how Gothic Monster High originally looked. Previous films had humor that surrounded the plot, whereas here, humor seems to distract from the plot with random physical comedy and immature jokes. This can be attributed to the fact that the creators wanted to attract a younger audience, but I wouldn't have found Dracula or Frankie's awkward behavior funny as a child either. The idea that Dracula's loneliness led her to seek out friends and create a school for them is amazing, because it shows that although her appearance changed, she still has a big heart and big ideas. Dracula deserves a Father of the Year award for converting his mansion into a school and home for teenagers. Claudine being able to transform into an actual wolf is awesome, as is Draculaura turning into a bat, and Cleo's power to use her bandages like a lasso, but Frankie's personality took a turn for the worse, likely because Draculaura became the main character. Ghoulia is no longer part of the main group, which is incredibly disappointing. Spectra and Caddy's characters were watered down and poured into Ari Huntington, who essentially lives like Hannah Montana, except she's only fascinating to Draculaura. As I said earlier, Monica Decay is dull in comparison to villains like Valentine and Wisp. Her plan to obliterate all normies with an army also seems extreme and unfounded, because there's no mention of her past experiences with humans or how traumatic the great monster flight that sent everyone into hiding actually was. Without a backstory, she's a one-dimensional villain that doesn't undergo any character growth and contributes to the film's slow pace. 3 out of 10 Skelettes. We finally escaped the reboot with 13th place, which goes to Great Scarrier Reef. It's ironic that Laguna is the main character in this film, since she's the least like herself. I love Laguna for how confident and mellow she is, but now that she suddenly has stage fright, Laguna is an emotional wreck. The fact that we journeyed into a vibrant reef for a glimpse into Laguna's life before Monster High was great, but with the exception of Kala and Kelpie, the new characters weren't. Posy Reef's speaking style and exaggerated gestures are as awkward for viewers as they are for the ghouls themselves. The twins don't really have much appeal, they're just the more talkative, aquatic version of Meowlity and Persephone. Their new powers as mermaids are cool, but once again, Ghoulia is left out. Laguna choosing to put herself in potentially life-threatening danger by going to the Kraken's den instead of just dancing on stage is a great example of how dangerous irrational fears are to those who are misguided by them. The shame-inducing secrets that Kala kept to avoid being excluded by others for her father's startling appearance, which caused her to resent Laguna for having a big family that was socially acceptable, make her a grounded villain. Although Kala's realization that Laguna isn't her enemy and Laguna's understanding of how Kala was bullied for her appearance are important lessons, they're quite rushed, and it's unclear why her dad destroys Monster High if Kala wants to prove that he's not monstrous. Aesthetically, the pops of color that bring the Dark City to life are spectacular, and as close as we'll ever get to a SpongeBob Monster High crossover. 5 out of 10 Skelettes. In 12th place is New Ghoul At School. I loved this film as a child because it introduced me to Monster High, and the soundtrack is fantastic. Frankie's struggle to fit in and make friends in high school is sadly one that many fans can relate to, but the lessons about friendship and good intentions turning into disasters are clouded by high school drama cliches, like the popular girl hating the new girl for liking her boyfriend, and the most exclusive organization being cheerleading. I wish these freeze-frame character introductions were in later films too. 6 out of 10. In 11th place is Freaky Fusion. The animation is gorgeous, as are the new characters, and it involves time travel. Sparky's attempts to build himself a family are intriguing, as is the conflict between each pair of fused characters. There's a lot of relatability in the hybrids thinking that they won't be understood because they come from multicultural backgrounds and have internal personal challenges like Serena being easily distracted and Bonita being overly anxious. I love how Nathan helps the ghouls understand each other and balance their differences through talk therapy. Frankie has a crush on half the boys who she sees, so her interest in Nathan isn't surprising, but I would prefer to see less of them and more of Hezekiah and Rebecca. Frankie boldly sacrificing herself to save her classmates from Sparky's destructive robot was emotionally gripping. The fact that dozens of students joined forces to save her shows just how far she came, since Frankie was the clumsy new ghoul. 7 out of 10. 10th place goes to Frights, Camera, Action. The mystery of who the true vampire queen is takes us on an adventure into the corrupt vampire court and through Hauntlywood. As someone whose cultures are often misrepresented by media, I love how passionately Dracula criticizes the misleading vampire historical dramas and Stoker's fallacious superiority complex. Elizabeth's escape from Stoker's manipulation and into the spotlight is well explained by the end. Her relationship with Dracula and how the vampire heart was hidden in Rebecca are fascinating. The new characters in this film are fun and their ambitions push the story along. The cinematic intro, animation, and scenery are beautiful. 8 out of 10. In 9th place is Escape from Skull Shores. I love how quickly the ghouls get trapped on this mysterious island without realizing the true nature of their so-called rescuer. With his name and plans for a freak show, Farnham is a great parody of P.T. Barnum. The pace and action keep the story thrilling, as does Gil when he cowers away from helping Laguna, only to help everyone in the end. I wish we saw Andy's story before the island at some point because his character seems fascinating. No other monster has such powers. Abby and Gulia killed it in this movie by going from being trapped to saving others with their wits. The film also demonstrates that exploitation comes back to haunt exploiters when Kipling and the Tiki finally turn against Farnham. 8 out of 10. 8th place goes to Friday Night Frights. This action-packed film has me wishing that Skulltimate Roller Maze was an actual sport. By having the boys doubt their friends' athleticism before even seeing them skate, it highlights the biases and hurtful assumptions frequently made about girls, while simultaneously proving that the best way to disprove a stereotype is by undeniable example of the contrary. I also love this film for introducing one of my favorite characters, Rebecca Steam. The ghouls' teamwork and drives leads them to a victory, and I'm glad to see the boys realize that they shouldn't have doubted them towards the end. 8 out of 10. In 7th place is Haunted. In addition to being one of Monster High's most aesthetically pleasing films with pastels and translucency everywhere, the ghost world we're pulled into is fascinating. From a river to Kiyomi, each ghost's powers and role uniquely contribute to the plot. This whole film has me wondering why no parents have pulled their kids out of school, because chaining students would have a regular school in a lawsuit land. Spectra revealing that Principal Revenant is multiplying her chains by lying and wrongfully punishing others shocked me when I first saw it. I'm not a fan of Porter and Spectra's pairing, but I applaud this adventurous film for emphasizing the importance of taking responsibility for one's actions through Principal Revenant's character development. 8 out of 10. Sixth place is taken by Boo York, Boo York. This film has my favorite soundtrack of every Monster High movie. Although it lacks a strong message, it has 3 interesting parallel stories. Caddy feels like a fraud for writing music about love when she has never deeply connected with anyone romantically, so she meets a musician who inspires her, while Deuce gets wrapped up in Nephora's scheme to raise her status by marrying Cleo into a powerful family. Also, Ghoulia saves everyone's lives by waking Astronova before her spaceship crashes into my city. Toralei has time to steal Caddy and Pharaoh's voices and challenge Luna to an epic sing-off. The bonus scene gives us an exciting glimpse into the Ever After High crossover that was tragically never completed. The crystal theme and shooting star mythology shine through the colorful animation. 9 out of 10. In 5th place is Fright On. This film takes on school integration, exclusion, group identity versus individuality, and prejudice in only 45 minutes. Van Helscream is the most frightening villain because his divisive tactics cloaked by unifying rhetoric and successful manipulation of public opinion bear an uncanny resemblance to the behavior of corrupt politicians. While Frankie tries to make everyone feel included at Monster High, Howleen and Draculaura's desires for a sense of community belonging are preyed upon by older members who want to exclude anyone not embodying the extreme pride that causes them to look down upon other groups. Frankie and Abby cleverly suspect that Van Helscream is hiding something by giving too many gifts and backhanded compliments. By exposing him and helping influential characters look past their differences, this film teaches its audience an abundance of valuable lessons. 9 out of 10. 4th place is held by Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love? This film highlights the damage done to relationships when fantasies become expectations. Claudine, Cleo, and Claude go to great lengths to make Draculaura's birthday spectacular, so I find Draculaura somewhat unappreciative of her friend's efforts and ungrateful for Claude's considerate gifts in the beginning. Draculaura and Valentine's relationship is a great warning to people entering the dating scene, as Draculaura's sensible friends point out red flags that her emotional involvement blinds her to. Valentine's romantic gestures and affection prove to be a mere distraction from his manipulative actions. Valentine's diary expands on why he collects broken hearts, so I highly recommend that you read it. Abby points out how indirect and full of confusing games modern dating culture has become. Going in direct opposition to Cupid's support of romantic elements is fun to watch. As is Ghoulia's attempt to scientifically find her perfect match, only to land on Heath. I love Monster High's origin stories for holidays, and I find it hilarious that Valentine named a holiday for Draculaura after himself. All of the one-liners from Howleen, Cleo, and Deuce are funny too. 9 out of 10. In 3rd place is Ghouls Rule. The origin of Halloween in the Monster High universe is awesome, and the ghouls look fabulous celebrating it. The monster-normie interactions are funny until Holt is framed for vandalism by Lilith Van Helscream and the police, who are bent on proving that monsters are normies' biggest enemies despite evidence of the contrary. I love watching the ghouls plan to prove his innocence in action, and that it's not enough because a trusted public official chooses to abuse his power and scapegoat Holt anyway. Lilith and Cleo becoming leaders of each other's opposition shows how easily children can be pressured onto paths that their parents want them on, and that it's possible for anyone to break that cycle by doing what they think is best. 9 out of 10. In 2nd place is Scaris, City of Frights. I was a big fan of Project Runway when this film premiered, so I was thrilled to see Claudine given an opportunity to become a professional fashion designer all because of a viral video. The design challenges through which we come to know Skelita and Jennifer are great scenes. Frankie and Rochelle take us through the lovely Scarisian streets in search of her vanished boyfriend. There's plenty of time for a laugh as the boys fly to another country because they miss their ghouls after a few days, and Claude finds them based on scent. Monatella Ghostier shows the extremely alarming lengths that some will go to in order to avoid losing their status and reputation when pressured by constant public attention. Through Claudine, we learn that it's important to maintain one's artistic integrity and that there are consequences for those who steal others' intellectual property. I love this film and I'm still waiting on this Heath doll. 9 out of 10. In first place is the superior movie about a high schooler learning to be careful what she wishes for, 13 Wishes. Beautiful world building is done in Gigi's lamp and the ghouls serve 3 stunning looks. 2 types of jinn from Middle Eastern folklore are represented by Gigi and Wisp, whose battle over the final decision of their finder is compelling all throughout the film. I love the opening sequence with Fawn, and that the brothers Grimm from Ever After High are in the lamp's backstory. Twyla's sarcasm and maturity contrasts greatly with Howleen's strong desire to attain high school popularity, even if it comes at others' expense. Wisp's corrupting influence is gradual and believable given how bullied Howleen is and that she feels like she's living in an older sibling's shadow. While Wisp is literally Gigi's sister, in a psychological sense, she's actually her shadow too. Gigi is hesitant and cautious about influencing anyone, which makes her good-natured but powerless, while Wisp is manipulative and strong. Some fans find Wisp scary, but I'm more frightened by Freshwater Laguna. Howleen's wish for everyone to forget Cleo shocked me because no one knowing me while I have full memory of my relationships with them sounds like a waking nightmare. For the way this film perfectly balances action and introspection with beautiful visual storytelling, it's my all-time favorite Monster High film. 10 out of 10. What do you think of my ranking? Let me know and stay tuned for more Monster High.